Pokemon world is not all bright at times. Hidden in the shadows are places that will give you goosebumps. These are the areas trainers fear to step in. What secrets do they hold? And what makes them so scary? Let's find out in this video. There's a strange house in Pokemon Black and White, and judging from what the house is called, you could tell it's strange. First off, the music gives off an unsettling vibe and is very mysterious. It's a bunch of messy stuff everywhere with furniture shaking every once in a while. On the bottom floor there are 6 shelves filled with books, and here's what the first 2 shelves say. There's a Pokemon called Cresselia in the far Sinnoh region. Its wings shine like the crescent moon and keep nightmares away. There's a Pokemon called Darkrai in the far Sinnoh region. To protect itself, it drives people and Pokemon away with terrible nightmares. So Cresselia is the one keeping nightmares away with its shiny wings, and Darkrai creates nightmares. This is why Darkrai was mentioned in Pokemon Legends Arceus. But for these 2 Pokemon to be mentioned in this strange house must mean there's a strange correlation between the 2. I mean, they're contrasting with one another already. Well, if the house is explored further, the player encounters a weird girl that says creepy things. An everlasting dark dream, an endless dream of darkness. Dad, Mom, Abra, where are you? When the player enters the room with the lunar wing to be picked up in the middle, the girl enters again and says, "Oh, the lunar wing, I can't take it now. Please return the wing to the Pokemon. I was waiting on the bridge so I could return it to myself." It doesn't stop here. When the player enters the marvelous bridge, you can see the same exact girl from the strange house standing, which was what she mentioned earlier. Very spooky, right? One person mentions how there used to be a girl who played with Abra all the time. This implies the girl died on the bridge. How did she die, you ask? Well, she was in a permanent sleep because of hypno and drowsy, which then led to her having nightmares, and Darkrai, mentioned earlier in the bookshelves, likes these bad dreams. So the girl's parents want to save their child and sought out the lunar wing. But it was too late and the parents fled, making the house abandoned. Ever since then, the lunar wing has been kept there and is haunted. If you explored Eterna Forest completely in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, you'll be able to enter into the old Chateau. I personally think it's the scariest theme song in Pokemon, and every time I hear it, I turn the console's volume down. A theory is that Gardenia, who is the grass-type gym leader, has a history with poisoning people, one being that little ghost girl we see up here. There's also an antidote in the bin which is used to cure poison. A spooky portrait with red eyes can be seen, indicating how ghost Pokemon are watching over the trainer. N is a popular character from Pokemon Black and White, and he holds a mysterious demeanor as we get to know him progressively in the story. He talks fast and owns lots of different Pokemon. But when you get towards the end of the game, you reach N's room. And isn't the music box so unsettling to hear? The atmosphere is alarming, and this relates to his childhood, since he was raised by Jetsis. It could also be that Jetsis isolated N in this room from people in order to become a leader. It shows how distorted he was really treated just when he was growing up. Let's go back generations. In the Hoenn region, Sea Marvel is an odd area where there's a large sunken ship. The sailors went through harsh conditions, with one being having an energy drink made with Seviper extract. Yikes, I don't know who'd want to drink that. Sailors also had to go for long grueling hours on deck, giving up the connections they had with Pokemon. But when you are in Sea Marvel, there's a message that says you feel like you're being watched. And guess what that Pokemon is? It's the spooky ghost Pokemon Spiritomb. Where's Cynthia at? Here's a Pokemon cookie for getting it to this far in the video. And get ready, cause the next location you may all know, and that is Lavender Town. From the beginning of the entire franchise, this town has spooked countless amounts of people. Obviously you could tell from the music, and a creepypasta has been said for this theme song to cause illnesses and erratic behavior a long time ago. This was known as the Lavender Town Syndrome. Yes, some say that it could be tragic more than scary. It's home to lots of Pokemon that have passed on, making it a graveyard. There are various ghost Pokemon, but Cubone is the one that stands out. This Pokemon lost its mother, which was Marowak, and ever since then, Cubone wears the mask of its mother, wishing to reunite one day. It's not just the town that is spooky, but also the Pokemon Tower. The eerie ghost of Marowak appears right at the top floor. It's different compared to lots of other Pokemon we've seen. There are 2 places involving Giratina that are very odd. One is Distortion World, and the other is Turnback Cave. Let's start with the Distortion World. This area is one of the most difficult places that have to be navigated due to the puzzles and constantly switching platforms. If you manage to complete these hard routes, the player will not only battle the Team Galactic boss, but also face the legendary Pokemon Giratina. so it's 2 in 1, which makes it even worse. This Pokemon can also be found in Turnback Cave, and the layout of this is confusing. The cave is also filled with dense fog and creepy music. It feels as if you're trapped in there. The Chamber of Emptiness in Pokemon X and Y is a random area that has absolutely nothing in it besides a spooky plate, and after you beat the game, there's only a Banette to be found. If you watched my other video on spookiest Pokemon backstories, you know that Banette is a creepy Pokemon based on a doll. As for why the developers put the Chamber of Emptiness in the game is unknown. Have you ever found yourself wandering in the supermarket playing Pokemon Go? In Pokemon Sun and Moon, the supermarket is abandoned and the audio playing in the background is not cheery pop music. It's glitchy and distorted. Ghost Pokemon that inhabit this place are meant to trick you and pull some weird pranks. And the most weird room out of these is the Totem Mimikyu, the thing that creeps up on you and just stares right into the camera. Shout out to those that like Gen 2. Do you remember Ruins of Alph from Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal? There's lots of mysteries covering unknown and 4 chambers that could get lengthy if fully explored. Players who happen to turn on the radio here will hear a mysterious transmission song. There isn't much as to why this weird sound is playing. The ruins feel pretty empty and lifeless despite the hidden messages behind walls. But a fun fact to note is that if you catch all 26 letters of unknown, there could be a banner printed in unknown font if you had a Game Boy printer a long time ago. If you somehow manage to travel through the large Lumiose City, there's a building that contains a ghost girl, or the so-called Hex Maniac. She floats weirdly and says, "No, you're not the one." Now, in the scary house, there's another odd person that talks about a tale of a horde of faceless people. The Sinnoh region really likes to have places that spook us out, cause we already have a lot listed in this video, but there's another one. And that place is Team Galactic headquarters, Lake Trio Room. When you warp in, you see stuff inside green fluids. And considering that the Lake Trio is trapped in the next room, they could be Pokemon that are quote-unquote experimented on. Just consider what Team Galactic could actually be doing to these legendary Pokemon when they're held captive. Mount Pyre, Hoenn's version of a haunted cemetery, sits shrouded in mist. As you climb its peak, the silence is overwhelming, only broken by the occasional cry of a ghost-type Pokemon. Like Lavender Town, this is a resting place for fallen Pokemon, but it feels even more ominous as you ascend. Finally, we arrive at the Ultra Beasts, an alien-like dimension unlike anything we've ever seen in the Pokemon world. This place feels so foreign and unnatural, it's like stepping into a horror movie. The Ultra Beasts themselves add to the fear. There are lots of scary places lurking in the Pokemon world, but who knows, there may be even darker hidden corners waiting to be discovered. That is all in the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy your Halloween and take care.